As the conventional film financing modes,
tribute to the charms of a single screen movie theater,
a commentary on changing Bangalore,
a spoof of mainstream filmmaking tropes, a mind bender
line between reality and imagination, an exploration of language politics, prescription for saving Kannada cinema. That landmark event is Lucia. The driving force behind this daring venture was Mr. Pawan Kumar, who used crowdfunding approach finding many investors in this project through a Facebook page and a blog. An actor, director and a screenwriter, he debuted as a director with the 2011 hit Kannada romantic comedy film Life Ishtene, for which he was awarded Best Director Award. He has won many awards including Audience Award at 4th London Indian Film Festival for film Lucia. In this lecture, Mr. Pawan Kumar will elaborate on why he decided to pursue an unconventional funding model for Lucia, along with his thoughts and views on Indian film industry. May I now request Professor Doda Goda sir to present Mr. Pawan Kumar with a fruit basket. I would now request Mr. Pawan Kumar to embrace the dais and share his creativity behind Lucia with all of us.
Crowdfunding, which means at the end of the session, hopefully you'll all fund my next film. And okay, so considering you guys can see the clock, and oh, I can see it there as well, so great. This is quite a long presentation, so we have about 45 minutes, right, to do this. It's a long journey, as exciting as the film, and boring in places like the film. So let's see what it's all about. So Lucia is a Kannada film. How many of you have seen it here? Oh wow. How many of you saw it on torrents? How many of you just lied? So yeah. So it's as mentioned, it's the first Kannada film to be crowdfunded. So other than whatever the film was about and the kind of genre we dealt with, even the making has been a process in itself. So in fact, we have done a 2-hour documentary on the making of the film, and it's quite fun. So what I'll do is I'll just pass it on to the group here in a week or something, and you guys can actually do a screening. It's funny and equally insightful to see what all happened behind the scenes. So let's just see, and in this presentation I kind of bring in right from the beginning as to why this thought came in and all that. So first of all, for those who haven't seen it, this is like the trailer of the film, and the audio doesn't seem to work. Like guys. So everyone's seen the film, right? Is there anybody who hasn't seen the film? Okay, for you guys, I'll just play the trailer.
ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಲ್ಲಿ ಮೂಢನಮಕ್ಕಳು 90 ಲಕ್ಷ ಜನ ಅವರಂತೆ ಇವರು ಮಂದ ಇದ್ದಂಗೆ. ಅದರಲ್ಲೂ ನಾನೊಂದು ಪಾಪದ ಕುರಿ. ನನ್ನ ಹೆಸರು ಮಿಕ್ಕಿ ಅಂತ. ಇಕ್ಕಿ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಮಿಕ್ಕಿ. ನಮ್ಮೂರು ಮಂಡ್ಯ ತಾಲೂಕಿನ ಕುರಿಕಂಪಗೌಡ ದೊಡ್ಡಿ. ಈ ಸಂತೆನ ಕಳೆದೋಗಿ 3 ವರ್ಷ ಆಯ್ತು. ನನ್ನ ಅಂಗಡಿ ಜಾಗ ಕೊಟ್ಟವರು ನಮ್ಮ ಪಟಪಟಿ ದೋಸ್ತಗಳು. ನಮ್ಮ ಕಂಕಣ ಪ್ಯಾಕೇಜ್ ಇದೆ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಬ್ಯಾಟ್ರಿ ಬಿಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಲೈಟ್ ಸಖತ್ತಾಗದ, ಆದ್ರೆ ರಾತ್ರಿ ಹೊತ್ತು ನಿದ್ದೆ ಒಂದ್ ಬರುದಿಲ್ಲ. ಏನೋ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಎಷ್ಟೊತ್ತಲ್ಲೇ ಮನೇಲಿ ನಿದ್ದೆ ಬರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ನಿದ್ದೆ ಬರ್ತಿರ್ಲಿಲ್ವಾ? ನಿದ್ದೆ ಒಂದಂದ್ರೆ ಸಾಕರಣ. ದಿನ ರಾತ್ರಿ ಮಲ್ಗೋ ಹೊತ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ನಂತಾಗ.
ಇದು ಬಂದ್ ಕಡೆಗೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಮನೆಗಳದು
ಮುಗಿ ಬಂದಳ
ಏನ್ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ ನೀವು?
ಟಾಕೀಸಲ್ಲಿ ಬ್ಯಾಟ್ರಿ ಕೂಡ ನನ್ನಂತವನು ನಿಮ್ಮಂತವ್ರ ಕನ್ಸ್ ಕಾಣ್ಬಾರ್ದು. ಜನರಿಗೆ ಕಷ್ಟ ಆಗುವಂತ ಸತ್ಯ ಹೇಳಬಾರ್ದು, ಇಷ್ಟ ಆಗುವಂತ ಸುಳ್ಳು ಹೇಳಬೇಕು. ಅಡ್ವರ್ಟೈಸ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಬ್ರ್ಯಾಂಡ್. ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕನಸಲ್ಲಿರುವ ಆ ಹುಡುಗಿನ ನೀವು ನಿಜ ಜೀವನದಲ್ಲಿ ಭೇಟಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರಾ? ಹೂ ಇಸ್ ದಿಸ್ ಗರ್ಲ್?
So who am I? I am the guy, the one who doesn't wear pink shirts but designed badly with a pink shirt. So I'm a college dropout, unlike you guys. So I used to do engineering in PSIT. I was doing telecommunication, and I flunked in all 3 maths of semester 1, semester 2, and semester 3. And then eventually there was a subject called field and waves. Has anyone studied that? Here? Okay, so in my times there was fields and waves. So in that exam I wrote that this is the last exam I'm ever going to take in my life, and gave the gave the paper and walked out of the college. So I, as an artist, have usually the climax is hilarious. That after I dropped out of the college, I was taken to 2 psychiatrists. And I swear it's not a joke. I really did have 2 counseling sessions after that. And my mom put me through art of living, vipassana, all that. So, and their concern was that I'll not get a bank account, nobody will marry me and stuff. But all that's fine. I have 3 bank accounts and a child after marriage. So, yeah, so I didn't get into, I mean, once you drop out of an engineering college, so no parent is going to fund you to go through, at least mine didn't fund me to go through any professional training in acting or theatre or film. So since 2000, basically 2 years into college, I was just doing that. And then when I quit, I got professionally into doing this. I come from a very middle class family. I'm the first kind of an artist because the rest of the family is all lawyers. And so it was kind of a, and I'm still happily doing after about 14 years actually of what I started in 2000. So now let's just look at these 4 films which I did in the period of 2009 to 2013. The first 2 are the ones which I wrote, and it was directed by Yogaraj Bhatt, and the last 2 are the ones which I wrote and directed. Now, the first 3 films, if you look at it before Lucia, they were all box office hits. They all recovered money, they made money. It was, in fact, I think Manasare won the state award. So it was quite popular. So then the question would be, why did I have to crowdfund if, I had 3 hit films, right? Crowdfunding is usually associated to somebody who's starting off or who does something more which is not popular. So I'll just guide you, I'll tell you the reasons why I had to crowdfund. So that's Karnataka, if you didn't know. So that's where I come from, and that's where the Kannada films are made. And multiplex audience, and there, as I don't know how many of you are aware, for any film industry, business-wise, we have classifications as A center, B center, and C center. And based on how many screens you can release in a C center or a B center, you can kind of predict how much money you can make. So, and according to that, many times stories are written, so this is targeted at a B and a C center audience because they don't know what torrents is. They actually poor fellows go to the theater and buy tickets. So that way a producer makes more money, which means you need to make films which they like. So that's when a big star becomes completely unbeatable because he is really getting you the revenue at the end of it with his brand name. So eventually, any businessman, anyone who's putting in 2 crores, 3 crores, anybody here will at least expect the money to come back, right? So we are looking at a region which is Karnataka, where is the prominent Kannada speaking audience. And so if you're making a Kannada film, it's for that region. So I had to do a lot of audience analysis to figure, because a script like Lucia, when I wrote, I figured that it's not going to go into a C center because people, they are not trained or haven't been taught to understand a film like Lucia. It's so non-linear and everything. So which means that I had to depend on the A center or B center audience to, to get the money back. So went back, and the first question is, why do we make films? You can answer. Entertainment, yeah. As a filmmaker, oh, make money, okay. uh, Social message. Because the very basic reason why a filmmaker wants to make a film is because he wants to tell stories. Okay, the rest is all perks which comes along with it. But otherwise, we are telling you, we are making a film because I want to tell you a story. So, which means that when you have to tell a story through a film, what do you need? Very basic. What do you need? Story. And okay, so we have the product. So the way two ingredients that you require is the filmmaker and the audience, right? When you have these two people, or the storyteller and the listener, so when you have these two things, a story can be communicated, right? So which means that is the art of filmmaking independent of the audience? No. So which means that you really have to think of whom you're making this film for, whom are you telling the story while making this film. So the conclusion was that if your relationship with the audience is good, then you have a commercial hit. And if you're if it's not great, then yeah. So my relationship with the audience was very platonic with my three films. Neither here, neither there. Now the thing was, how do you then reach the audience, right? That's the first question, because if I'm making Lucia, I need to know how am I going to at least get the money back, which I'm going to make a producer spend. The first thing is, when we think of filmmakers and audience, we think that this is how they're divided. There are like filmmakers and there are audience, but the reality is that they're divided like this, wherein there are different kind of filmmakers and there are different kinds of audience, right? There are different tastes. So ideally, a film industry's job is to take the filmmaker's story and then deliver it to the audience. Now, using those three guys, basically the stars, distributors, and producers, the main three ingredients of any industry. Ideal scenario is that, let's say, a filmmaker with a taste of green makes a film, and the industry should deliver it to those audience prominently, and then the rest of them as well. Now, this is what should happen, and everybody is happy if that happens. But what's happening is, in the current scenario, a filmmaker of those two categories are the only ones the industry is able to handle, and only to those audience it can deliver. So when that happens, the film is a hit. So all your 500 crore films, 300 crore, 100 crore box office films are very nicely planned when at production, even before the film is made. They know who their audience is, right? Now, what about all these filmmakers? And what about all these audience? So the many of you, how many of you saw Dhoom 3? Okay, so yeah, how many of you really paid for it? Anyway, so what I'm saying is, there's so many, like Dhoom 3 is a proper ideated film at the budget level. You have the biggest star and you have the most easily communicative topics, and it's made big. And they know whom they're reaching out, they know how to flush the money out of it. So there is something called as Pan Singh Tomar, or even a Lunchbox, so Lunchbox gets talked about in the world, but it makes 22 crores. So in its own space, it's a hit. Like Lunchbox, they spent 8 crores to make, they made 22. But there are many films like Lunchbox which don't even manage to come out into the theaters. And there are many of you who would want to watch those films, right? How do they then bring it to you? So what happens is, a filmmaker with, say, in the current scenario, with who makes blue films, I mean, not blue films, the taste of blue, and then he gives it to the film industry. The industry is just delivering it to those audience, and the film is declared as a flop because it didn't reach the right audience, right? So there's nothing wrong with the film or the filmmaker, it just didn't go through the right process. So what happens to that kind of filmmaker? He gets the best flop director award eventually, wherein it's just finding his audience. Okay, so I've got that a couple of times also. So eventually that film does manage to get through to the audience, to the right audience. For example, Fight Club was a commercial flop, but till today how many of you have seen Fight Club? Everybody has seen it. How many of you have seen it 3 times? So see, same number. So it's like it's a hit on torrents. It's a hit on DVD market. But as a studio, you would have said, Fight Club doesn't work. And you should see how Fight Club went through so many changes during marketing. So that's what I'm saying. It's finding the right audience has become so difficult. But how we did that with Lucia is what we'll speak. So at least in Kannada, what was happening was that the producer, distributor, and the star became the three key elements who would control the content of the film. So they'll tell you what to write. And there was unfair pay scales, like as a writer, music director, or as a supporting actor, you wouldn't get paid at all or get paid very little because these three guys are the ones who are actually getting you the business. And we were losing a large percentage of our audience, all the ones over there who stopped watching Kannada films and went on to watch other films. And we're losing a lot of talented filmmakers and everyone else, all the talent pool, because they were not really getting to do what they were good at. And eventually the language started fading out. The good, I mean, people, we still speak Kannada and everything, but you know, when you watch films, there's a different kind of a communication that can happen. So that started coming down. And I actually looked at this and I felt there's untapped business potential. If you can just get those people to watch the films, you can make more money than you can make with probably a Hindi film or something. So eventually all this led to a drop in quality. So we make about 120 films in a year, and as any other industry, there are bad films in every other industry. It's just that ours, it stood out. You know, they were good films, but everybody was just looking at the majority of the bad ones. They never looked at the good ones. So how did this affect me? If I look at the body of my work, it was all sorry, I think somebody raised hand to ask a question or something. No, okay. So I think there's a Q&A at the end of it, right? So, so this was some plays and films, everything that I have done, and I figured that all my work was very personal, which was me as an artist trying to do something and then try to reach it out to the audience. I never worked backwards. I never worked thinking what does the audience need and then make the film or a play. So which meant that I had to find a way to sell what I was doing rather than creating what they want. The question eventually came to how do I survive in this industry if I'm thinking like this, right? So let's again dig into the market research types. The Kannada population is roughly 6 crore. Out of that, they say 15 to 20 lakh people watch a film, then it's a big hit. You know, like a Mungaru Male or something. Mungaru Male is, all of you must have heard of it. It was a huge, like it made some 40 crores and all that. So eventually it must have been seen by 1 crore plus people, but not really all 6. And any big film that you hear is 20 lakh people. So average films like Manasare Pancharangi, all my films were, I think, seen by 5 lakh or something, in theaters, I'm saying. So if 5 lakh people out of 6 crore population watches it, then it's a hit. So imagine how many you are not watching, and is there a way to reach out to them? That was my first question. So as a filmmaker, I found myself in a loop, in a picture like this, where I'm the guy with F, with a taste in yellow, and audience everywhere. So my job was to find a way to just reach out to these audience, you know, spend all my resource in reaching out to them and form these clusters. I think filmmakers and audience should form these clusters. You cannot put them in geographical space, of course, but there's another way to do it. So eventually they are spread across the world. Correct? Your audience are not anymore in that Karnataka region, in that 6 crore population. Today they are everywhere. Considering Kannada audience because of IT, so they're definitely out there, out of India. So the conclusion was that I need to find them, and I figured that with my other films that they were also looking for filmmakers for me, or stories that we were interested in telling, you know, so it's a two-way process. So we created something called as an audience films, which is an independent film production model, and we also created something called as home talkies, which was an independent film distribution model. So the idea of these two things were that, you know, those filmmakers and audience who were left out, we would bring them up and try to connect them directly using these two ideas, you know, bypassing the audience, the producer, distributor, and the stars completely. So the good thing about this is that to narrate a story through a film, we figured that the audience is as important as the filmmaker, and that it is also the responsibility of the audience to choose what they want to watch. You know, so if you're giving 500 crores, 300 crores to a certain kind of film, as a businessman, I will eventually keep making that. So there is a sector of audience who says that, no, I'll give a film like Lucia some money. So we need to now bring them together. So how does it work? Some blueprint kind of a thing as to what we said. A filmmaker submits a proposal, say a film called X, and he puts it up to audience films. We take that small write-up or a pitch and we put it to our audience, and let's say 1/3 of them who like that kind of a film say that, okay, we're going to microfinance this film. I'll tell you what microfinancing is or how we did that. So we get that crowdsourced fund, right? So we take that and monitor it by producing it with those filmmakers. They eventually give us the film through home talkies. We release it in as many mediums as possible. Oops, it's going to come back. how do you skip to the next slide? Okay. So we use it through home talkers and then distribute it through satellite, television and everything, and whatever revenue we generate, if there is an equity based investment, we give it back to the audience, or that money or profit, losses, whatever gets covered. So basically the audience chose the filmmaker and said that we want to watch the story you are going to say. So it's completely independent of any other business model. Yeah. So how does this promise something? Because, if you like comedy films, then you fund a filmmaker who makes good comedies. If you like tragedies or if you like drama, then you fund only him. So you are choosing the film already even before it's made. So as an independent filmmaker, as an independent artist, we have absolutely no finances or resources, right? So the only free tool was internet. So now, was just using internet, was it possible to do all of this? And with Lucia, we did try a bit and it worked. So I'll take you through an example. This is a play which I did when I was 20. The play is called The Final Rehearsal. Okay, so that was my first project in 2002, about 12 years ago. And the product I was trying to sell was myself, that I was a great actor. Okay, so when I quit college, I was only aiming at acting. So, but nobody would cast me. I used to really perform terribly at the auditions, and I had no budgets to do anything on my own. So the solution was that I decided to do this one-man show, because then I'd be on stage for 1 hour all by myself. So there'd be no competition, during the play also. It's just me. So the audience have to watch it. And because I had no training as a actor to read Shakespeare or anything somebody has written, so I said, why don't I just write something that I feel like telling through my play? So that actually led me to writing the play. And I was all by myself, so I directed it, and I had no money, so there was one chair in my house. So I used that chair as a prop very effectively in the play, and did some good lighting design, right? So I worked with bare minimal resources, and it would cost me some $300 to do this play at the end of the day. So the result was that I actually won the Best Actor Award in Mumbai in 2002, and people started appreciating for the creativity. They said the writing is so new, it's so personal, and then they said it's so creative because there's just one chair and all the lighting and nothing else. So I figured, when I look back, now I'm 30, and Lucia put me in a similar situation. So I was 30 when I was doing this project. I had a great script, but nobody was buying it, nobody wanted to produce it. Okay, so solution was, I said, okay, if the audience want to watch a film like this, then I'll make them responsible for producing it. And the result has been a winner all the way along since, right? So if you look at it, it's 10 years of my life, but the first project and what I did at 20 and 30 have almost a similar way of producing it or making it happen. Just see this video. This is kind of, I don't know, some of you must have
If
seen
you've
it.
learned a lot about leadership and making a movement, then let's watch a movement happen start to finish in under 3 minutes and dissect some lessons. First, of course, a leader needs the guts to stand alone and look ridiculous. But what he's doing is so simple, it's almost instructional. This is key. You must be easy to follow. Now here comes the first follower with a crucial role. He publicly shows everyone else how to follow. Notice how the leader embraces him as an equal. So it's not about the leader anymore, it's about them, plural. Notice how he's calling to his friends to join in. See, it takes guts to be a first follower. You stand out and you brave ridicule yourself. Being a first follower is an underappreciated form of leadership. The first follower transforms a lone nut into a leader. If the leader is the flint, the first follower is the spark that really makes the fire. Now here's the second follower. This is a turning point. It's proof the first has done well. Now it's not a lone nut and it's not two nuts. 3 is a crowd and a crowd is news. A movement must be public. Make sure outsiders see more than just the leader. Everyone needs to see the followers because new followers emulate followers, not the leader. Now here come 2 more people, then 3 more immediately. Now we've got momentum. This is the tipping point and now we have a movement. As more people jump in, it's no longer risky. If they were on the fence before, there's no reason not to join in now. They won't stand out, they won't be ridiculed, and they will be part of the in crowd if they hurry. And over the next minute, you'll see the rest who prefer to stay part of the crowd, because eventually they'd be ridiculed for not joining. And ladies and gentlemen, that is how a movement is made. So let's recap what we've learned. If you are a version of the shirtless dancing guy, all alone, Remember the importance of nurturing your first few followers as equals, making everything clearly about the movement, not you. Be public, be easy to follow. But the biggest lesson here, did you catch it? Leadership is overglorified. Yes, it started with the shirtless guy, and he'll get all the credit, but you saw what really happened. It was the first follower that transformed a lone nut into a leader. There's no movement without the first follower. See, we're told that we all need to be leaders, but that would be really ineffective. The best way to make a movement, if you really care, is to courageously follow and show others how to follow. When you find a lone nut doing something great, have the guts to be the first person to stand up and join in.
So, it's a simple video which is there on YouTube. You all can see it there. So, I'm the overrated guy, the shirtless nut. But there is a follower right here called Siddharth Nooni, who's from IIT, so that you can just wave at them or something. So he's the DOP of the film. So I think actually I didn't see the video before making Lucia, right? I saw it just about a month ago. But when I saw the video, I thought this is exactly what happened in 2 years in my life, you know. So I on one random day got up and said, I'm going to make Lucia with 50 lakh rupees, and I don't have 50 lakh rupees. And so one of the few other nutcases like Siddharth Nooni and other people said, you know, we'll come and do something. And then it just became bigger and bigger and bigger over 2 years. So now I'll take you through the process of how it was possible. So first thing is I actually have a blog called as pawantheactor.com. So I posted this project Lucia on that, and I said if I get 50 lakh through various processes, I'll make this film and give you the film in about 10 months, something as a DVD, or I'll let you download it from my website. And I put it up and I then got to know that this is called as crowdfunding. I didn't even know the word for it. And the proposal went very viral on Facebook. People thought it was really new, and they had to support it. So if you see, this is just few snapshots. It really went viral because the response was like this, wherein I was flooded with queries, and my website had 30,000 visitors, you know, in just those 1 month period. I personally responded to about 800 emails in that month because that's all I did. I had no other job, so I would wake up and just keep responding to all the queries. And my bank account froze for a while because the bank people thought I was a terrorist because I was getting funds from various places. Then I said, boss, I'm a filmmaker, and then they got more worried. So, and eventually there were a lot of detractors who tried to spoil the project. There was a very interesting thing that happened was after about 10 days or something, one guy, I got about 6 or 7 lakh, I think, and then it stopped. For about 3 or 4 days, no money came in. So I thought, okay, this is it, you know. So I just returned all the money that came in so far. And then probably I could, you know, find a job in IIT or something. So, and then eventually I got to know from a friend that there was a blog, another blog published by a random anonymous guy saying that this whole project was a scam and I was just making money out of it. And he went to each and every person in my friends list in Facebook and started sharing it with them, this blog link. So after 3 days or something, I got that and I read through the whole thing. So, okay, so your first reaction is, one, you get hurt. Two, you try to not talk about it, right? Because if so much of time someone has spent in really ruining something, then it does have an impact on some people. But what I did at that point, because I'd given up on everything, okay, so it was more like, you know, the famous quote in Fight Club, it says that when you hit rock bottom, the only way is up. So I was in that stage. So I took that blog and I published it on the Lucia website, and I answered some of the doubts he was trying to feed into people's mind. And I think about 5 days or 6 days later, we had 15 lakh coming in as soon as I did that. So that's when I got to know that people really wanted something extremely transparent, extremely honest to look at as a project. And that is what I had ended up doing by publishing that blog. So eventually 110 strangers came forward, and I think about 107 of them I've never met or seen, and 3 of them were from my college, and we raised 51 lakh in 27 days. So 50 lakh is what we needed, but at the last minute, when, because there was this progress bar constantly showing on our website. So when it was 49 lakh, 8 people put in 25,000 at the same time to be the last guy to, close the project, and that's how we ended up getting a lakh more. And eventually, now we may ask, why did they give us the money? Anyone who's trying to crowdfund keeps wondering, why will anybody give me the money to crowdfund? So that's when all my 3 films primarily seem to have worked. One is that these 3 films reached out to a completely new generation of audience, and they wanted contemporary intelligent films. There's some of you here who I think relate to these 3 films on a different level. And eventually it came to the audience wanting a Kannada film which they could be really proud of. We had films from 70s and all that, but nothing of our times that we could tell our friends and say, you know what, you should watch this film. We see that happening. So your friend who is a Tamilian could be showing you great Tamil films, or from other parts of countries. So I think this is the crowd, and especially in India, it's a little easier. But if you're abroad, you miss your language and your hometown a lot more. So people who are staying abroad, who would be sitting in their cafeteria with people from all other parts of the country, and they all are bragging about their own films, because in India, film is a culture that we grow up with, right? So it reflects where we come from. And a Kannadiga would say, oh, you know what, in 70s we did great films. So it was very important for him or her to say that there is something which is happening now. And I think these were the first ones to say, I don't mind losing my 25 grand, 50 grand, but just attempt making something, So I did some talent hunt. All this except Digant, who was not part of the film eventually. So all these guys are new talents, and people who came forward to work in our project. So once I got 50 lakh, I figured that I'm not going to work with any brand. So we didn't need it. We just wanted to make an honest film. So I decided to stick with talented people who had studied their craft and who could add to the project. So we stuck to those. And we finished shooting the film in 65 days. I will tell you something about crowdsourced. So our film is called as crowdfunded. Now crowdsourced is, for example, people would start giving us vehicles, houses and everything. There were times when on Facebook I would keep putting up saying I need a car and I need a house, I need an auditorium, and people would really send me emails or messages saying you can use my car on Saturday and Sunday. So if you have seen the film, it doesn't look like a 50 lakh film. In fact, one of the Telugu producers whom I met said that if he didn't know how this film was made, he would have easily, worked backwards and valued it at 5 crores. So he was shocked when I said I made it in 50, and it's definitely 5, because if you had to pay for each one of those, it would amount up to that much. So this is a crowd-funded and a crowd-sourced film. And there was zero comfort zone on the set. So usually, there are so many luxuries with which we shoot, but here there was, we would just give everybody one lunch. If it's somebody's birthday or something, they would get water and coffee. So so it would be really that bad. So we would drive in our own cars, and heroine have come on their 2-wheeler. So it was zero. So that's if I spent 5,000 extra, I'd be worried that day. So that's how we planned our shooting. We kind of did our own rigs. So this is one of the rigs which one of my crew members invented with some $600. He was able to do it. So if you have seen the film, there's this before the first song, there's an entire long shot of a point of view shot. So to shoot that, basically Siddharth was wearing that helmet with a camera in front of him, and he could do a great thing out of it. So we actually enjoyed doing this process. On a regular film set, you won't get this kind of time. You won't get this kind of time or the resources to even experiment, at least in the scenarios that I was in. So this gave me that. And we eventually brought in a digital revolution because we made everything happen in Bangalore. So even my own earlier film, Life Ishtene, we did post-production here in Chennai. So something which I didn't want to. I wanted to make our own VFX talents, everyone to do the work right there in Bangalore. And so our end-to-end production happened in Bangalore. And with 50 lakh, we actually got our censor certificate. So the film was complete as promised within that budget. Now, making a film is really easy. I would say after this process, when we were making the film, you will somehow, because you're so passionate and creative, you'll get through the process of making it. What is difficult is selling it. That's the most difficult, selling and releasing the film. In fact, I don't think you would have even invited me here if the film hadn't created that buzz, right? So you all know about the film because of the marketing that went into it. So I'll just share some of the interesting concepts, and all the blue things that you're seeing, all of you would know, it's a snapshot from Google Analytics. So that's where the website or YouTube channel was accessed from. So Kannada content being seen in all those places. Now, first thing I started doing was I wanted to make Lucia, the word, as a brand. Okay, I didn't want it to be a Pawan Kumar film. I didn't want it to be a crowd-funded or some Kannada film. So, because Lucia, as you all know, is not a Kannada word, something that we haven't heard often. So, it had to be like everybody had to know the word Lucia. That was the first target. So, how did we go about doing it? As simple as see, these things were not really planned. I'm not a marketing genius to think of this ahead. I just did it very instinctively, wherein I announced a 72-hour test to recruit assistant directors. So usually a director has about 4 or 5 assistant directors. So the usual process is that the one who is calling you frantically every day or sending you message, can I work with you, can I work with you, you take that guy. So, right? So in this process, I just put it up on my blog saying in 72 hours, whoever makes a video about Project Lucia, they wouldn't know anything about the story, but about the whole crowdfunding process. Put it up on YouTube, and the first 5 highest viewed videos will get through and become the assistant directors. So I think 30 or 35 of them attempted this. So there are 30 to 35 videos on YouTube even today which is talking about Project Lucia. And because they wanted to be in the team, they would market their video, thereby making the name Project Lucia reach a lot more people. So this is a snapshot of a person whose video is seen by 42,000 people. So on my own, I might not be able to reach those 42,000 people, but this guy, through this video, reached out to that many people, and he got into the team as well. So this is how it began. So when I realized the power of social media and what you can do with the brand, and as a brand, these pictures were taken by random people on Facebook and who tagged me into it, saying, hey, look, I saw Lucia in Delhi, I saw Lucia in Edinburgh. So the word really caught up. And I then made t-shirts. So when we usually plan a t-shirt, we design the coolest t-shirt that we can think of, right? So I again put it up on the audience. I said, you guys design a t-shirt for Lucia, the one which gets the maximum likes on Facebook. We will print that, and you get 10% of whatever we sell of your t-shirt. So we had some 50 of them randomly designing t-shirts. So a software engineer who has design skills, or even who is inclined towards designing but can't really professionally work in it, would on a weekend just sit, make a t-shirt and send it to us. And I think the one which got eventually printed was the one there on the right. And he's a student, so, and for him 10% of that sales did mean something at the end of it. So, and t-shirts are the best walking, talking hoardings you can find. So we also created a page called as Join Project Lucia, wherein, I'm not sure if you can read those. It says, I can provide you with the following locations. So we had list, basically when you make a film, you have your requirement list. We put it up on a Google form and we published it publicly on Facebook and everything. So audience had the option to choose what they can collaborate with us. They can say that you can use my house, you can use my husband, you can use my vehicle. So anything they feel like. And so I have 3,000 people who have filled this form up. And so even for the next 3 or 4 films, I have enough addresses there whose resources I can use to make a film now. And filmmaking workshops, we did a whole lot of filmmaking workshops during those 14-16 months, wherein we were teaching how we were able to make, how we were using a digital camera to shoot a feature film, how low budgets were, how to write a script, how all those things in a 2-day workshop. Now, one, we were sharing our knowledge. Second, what was happening was I was building an army of people who are interested in what we were doing, right? So how does it help? In a scene like this, which if you look at it, there are so many cameras and so many people. If you have to line this up as a film, each person costs $1,200, and if he has to carry a camera, that camera has to be hired and everything. We would just write to our workshop participants and say, you know what, if you want to just land up on the set and watch how we shoot a feature film, come on this day. And they all came in with the cameras, and so we really shot the scene that way. For them, they had a live experience, and so it was great. That whole scene that you have seen in the film is all my students who went through the workshop. And we used these guys, like making of the viral song Tin Bada Kammi. I mean, all of you have seen that song Tin Bada Kammi. It went so viral. This was probably one of the first content from the film which gave us a presence in, so there's an interesting story, which is that the song was, when we wrote it and when Purna Chandra, the music director, gave me a version of it, it was very difficult to read or to sing along. So Yogaraj Bhatt, who's my mentor, so he said, I don't think the song will work because songs become a hit when people can sing along with it. So, but I liked it so much, I said, it's okay, I'm doing an experimental film, so it can be there in the film, right? So, and the music director said, I don't know whom to take to sing this song because it's very folk and we need a new voice. So we put the song up on YouTube and we told people that if you can sing this song, then sing it, record it and send it back to us. If we like your voice, then we will get you onto the film. Some 600 voice samples came in. People started downloading the lyric, learning the lyric of it to sing the song, and because of its own nature of the song, it also became viral. I think it has some 3.5 lakh views on YouTube as of now, and it reached to all those countries where people are singing. So that's a snapshot from YouTube. Now, when you are making an indie film, it's impossible to get the attention of the media, right? The newspaper, television, and everything. But overnight, this music director, who's a software engineer who had quit his job to do music for Lucia, became a star. So that's Purna Chandra, and he got written about in every other newspaper. Television was talking about him, and the lyric which we thought was so difficult for people to understand got published in one of the newspapers. So so it's like news that you can create on social media, and the traditional media will catch up. We can skip that. So, and then Lucia trailer views, we have about 50,000 views in 3 weeks. So that's not a great number when you look at it from a worldwide point of view. But if you look at the comparational chart, so we had 50,000 in 3 weeks. The rest of the films which are lined up down there are big budget films with big stars. So if you see, there's one film which has 41,000 views in 1 year. So comparatively, we really reached out to the target audience, which was the educated ones, the one which were online actively. So they were really watching our content, and we had 26 lakh views. I think I made this presentation about 2 months ago. So that's the number of people who had seen content at that point. Now it's easily 30 lakh people who have seen something on YouTube about Lucia. And we were reaching out to the right age group, which was 25 to 34. This is again analytics from Google. And the film poster, right? So if you have seen, the film poster says a lot about not just the film, but what the industry is producing. So if you are on the street and if you see some really shabby looking guy with blood everywhere on the poster, you won't feel like watching the film, and you will kind of tell your friend that, you know what, this is what this industry produces all the time. So it became very important for me that a poster had to be a work of art. So we gave our film to an artist and we said that, look at the film and whatever you feel like doing it, just do it as a poster. A traditional producer would never approve this kind of a poster because it doesn't have a woman, it doesn't have the hero, and so how do you sell the film, right? So if you look at it, we were not really interested in how it would look on the wall on the streets, right? We were more looking at the Facebook walls. We were looking at how it would look on an email wall. And I don't know if you can see the number here. Look at the number of share, it's in 3 digits. Look at the number of likes, some 747 likes on a poster. So people were sharing it on their walls. It's a big thing, you cannot really buy these things. This is a very interesting video, and this is like hacking into marketing. So this is a video which I downloaded from YouTube, which kind of talks about how ineffective YouTube advertising is. Okay, so that yellow dot that you're seeing is an eye tracker. It's tracking the eyes of a viewer who is seeing a video on YouTube, right? So if you look at it, he never saw on this space. That yellow thing never comes here, and this is where YouTube charges you to put an ad. Correct? So I happened to come across this video and I said, okay, how can I use this? So I said, fine, I sat and looked at YouTube for a few days. I looked at who locally from Bangalore were placing ads in these spaces. And then I contacted them and I said, why don't I place the ad right here in the content, because that's where the audience are looking. And we eventually were able to sell it to Lenovo and Taxi for Sure. So if you look at any Lucia video, these guys gave us some money to put their logos in our songs. So now they are there forever. They don't have to pay YouTube, but they paid me to do this. So we raised some funds through that, and eventually that many corporates kind of have come into Lucia in some way or another. They might not have given us money, but they were part of it in a way. So if you look at this hoarding, this is graphically placed. When we shot it, it was empty sky. We sold this for 1 lakh. Okay, so it appears in the movie for a while, and Papa John's gave us space for free, and we gave them a lot of branding because the heroine of the film is supposed to be working there, Range Rover, which a 50 lakh film can never afford, got Range Rover for 2 days. So all this intelligent stuff was done through that. And actually another thing about leading and following, which that video said. So after about a year or something, it was Lucia had become boring because we were taking so long to do the film. And every time Lucia was talked about, I was being talked about. So any media will be bored about talking about me or Lucia for 1 year, right? So then I said, let's make stars out of the other people in the team. So this guy called Naveen is actually a guy who sings in orchestras and at weddings. So our music director found him and made him sing 4 songs in the film. So the one good thing that we were doing is anything that we did, we were video documenting it through the process. So I then cut a 15-minute documentary of how we found this guy, how we trained him into singing, and how he is now eventually a good playback singer, and put it up on YouTube. And that has that many views, about 1+ lakh views. And a program about him will never come on a traditional media, but once that video became hit on YouTube, all television called him. For 1 hour they were talking to him live. They made him sing on newspaper, and audience calling and saying, where were you all these years? So it was reverse engineered basically. We then created a website. In our website, there's something called as Lucia's list. So if you have put in money into the film, or if you have done anything for the film, your name will come in the list. We made it very cheesy by comparing it to Schindler's List as well. So eventually, but people had such a strong connection with the film that I have got mails where people have said, my name is spelled wrong. Can you put my father's name instead of my name? So they found that kind of a association with the film. And we engaged some of the entrepreneurs because we were a startup. I said, let's support the other startup. So one interesting case is a company called StuntSpot, which makes augmented reality apps. So they came up to me and said, they make these apps where you can point it at the poster and the trailer would start playing on your smartphone. So I said, great. A project like Lucia has to use something like this because this was so ahead of its time in marketing for a Kannada film. Now, can you tell me what are the challenges in doing this? You need to have a poster, which costs to print the poster, to put the poster up. And most often, if there's a poster on the wall, you go close to the poster for different reasons, right? Not to really point your phone. So it means it had to be rejected. So because I didn't have, so but it was such a great idea. So then I thought of this, wherein a person could download the app, point it at the CCD shop, and a song would start playing. And if they go inside and point it at the menu, then another part of the song would start playing. And eventually, if they really point it at the bill or input one of the invoice numbers or something, then something else really comes out. So I wanted to tie up with Cafe Coffee Day and ask them that, you give me some money and I'll get you. So if you look at it from a marketing point of view, there's a good deal for them as well, because people are not just pointing at them. There is something for them to go inside and order something as well. Like any corporate company would love to associate with it. But we didn't have a team to go find the right people in CCD and sell this idea. We were a very small team, but it's an idea which probably will work for the next few projects that we're doing. And then we said we have to point at something which exists for free, which was newspaper. So we then tweaked the app wherein if you just point it at any newspaper, it would start playing, or it would replace the newspaper with our customized image. So Lucia's premiere was in London, which never made it to the headlines of any newspaper, though it was the first Kannada film in 75 years to have a premiere outside India. And it never made it to any newspaper. So we said, you know what, we'll create our own headlines. So if you took Lucia app and pointed it at any newspaper on a particular day, the whole front page would change into Lucia's news. And that's how we announced the premiere. Now, again, this was not so effective because as you're all technical people, you know how the app works. It needs to read a JPEG which is already fed into the server, right? Which means that every day morning these guys had to go find the newspaper, take a picture of it, feed it into the server before anybody starts scanning it. And it's not practical to do it every time. Now, can you tell me, if you're already aware of it, please don't blurt out, what is the thing which everybody who's carrying a smartphone is also carrying? How can you cut cost and yet make this more powerful? Any ideas? Sorry? Yeah, that's what, smartphone camera, wherein you have to scan that. So I needed something where any of you should be able to scan and get the trailer out, right? So we went for currency. So what we did was we scanned all the currencies. So if you take $500 and scan the front of it, you get the trailer, the back of it, song one. Take 50 rupees, song one, song two. So every other currency was programmed, and it would just work at zero cost, right? Other than making the app, we didn't have to spend on a poster or anything at all. So the whole marketing was strategized on these lines. Something this I'll just rush through a bit. Another entrepreneur company called Karaoke Garage came forward and said, we make online apps wherein if you sing in front of your computer with their app open, it will take your voice, compare it with the original singer and give you some points. They said, we'll give it to you for free for making Lucia. Now, how do you use it more effectively? I mean, why would you just open the app and sing Lucia's songs if you're not getting something in return? So we integrated this with the premiere show. Because it was an audience film, we said that for the premiere show of the film, the audience will come and not the stars. So how do you then choose 300 audience, right? So there is limited space in the theater. So we integrated the app wherein you can choose any of the songs, and if you start singing, it will compare it to the original singer and it will give you a seat. Now the trick was that somebody can choose the same seat, sing better than you and steal it from you, right? So then it became a game. So for about a month, there were people stealing seats from each other. It was really funny to see on the back end how seat Q7 went to somebody and Q7 in the morning goes to somebody else. So on the just one day before the premiere show, it was like the Matrix thing happening, where the seats are just jumping from one account to the other. And eventually, to spice it up, we put about 50 stars, known friends. And so the seat next to the star was of high demand, so they could see which is the star who's going to be sitting here. So they would want to sit next to him. So it was really hilarious how it happened. And this is a very interesting market research, because when we started this app, people who were singing, their high scores used to be 1,500 or 1,600. One day before the premiere show, the scores were 7,800 or something, which meant that over the month, they were really getting better at singing. So at the premiere show, every time the song came in, the whole theater would sing along, because they knew every word of the song by the end of it. So. Now, how do I generate funds for theatrical release and conventional publicity? All said and done, if you're doing a theatrical, you need holdings, you need some posters on the walls, you need some ads in the newspaper. We didn't have any money for it. As I said, we spent 50 lakh on making the film. So we came up with this crazy idea, like it looks like atoms and molecules and stuff. So how many of you know about this online distribution stuff that we did? Okay, so this is one very innovative thing which has probably happened for the first time in the world, wherein we were releasing the film on our website called Home Talkies, right? So I told you about Home Talkies. So people could buy the online rights from me to give it to their friends. For example, let's talk about this 50% one. So if you give me 2,500, I would give you a 50% share unique link. So it would be, for example, luciathefilm.com/Praveen. So that is your unique link. When you tell your friend Anand to watch the film, he will have to click on that link, pay me $10, but our software was designed in such a way that you get 50% of that return immediately. So we sold this and we made 18 lakh from 1,300 people, even like 3 months even before we brought the film out. Okay, so this is the second round of crowdfunding that we did. And it's a very confusing concept because it's just started out, but on the paper level and worldwide now people are really starting to do this elsewhere as well. Now the output, okay, all said and done, we did all that. What happened eventually? I won the Young Creative Entrepreneur Award from the British Council in year 2012. I was representing India in London and spoke about Lucia. And we became the first Kannada film to world premiere in London. In 75 years, no Kannada film had premiered anywhere else. Won the Best Film Award at the London Indian Film Festival. And it eventually released in that many theaters in Karnataka. That's the theater list. So if you remember in 2012 when I put up the project, the idea was to just put it up online or send out DVDs. It came to this. And some of you must have seen these videos where Anurag Kashyap has spoken about it, Irfan has spoken about it. And every time any of these guys talked about it, the newspapers would pick that news up and print. So that was second layer of publicity that added. And PVR and Cinepolis did an all India release. Some of you must have seen the film in Chennai theaters. So very rarely, or in fact, this is apparently the first Kannada film to release across country on the same day. Otherwise, the film would release. So this became the first one. If you look at it, it's there in Surat, Ahmedabad, one I think in Bhopal as well. Never had a Kannada film released in those theaters. Eventually, we were in the Indian Oscar race as well. So there were 15 films which was seen, and ours was one of them, which was seen at by the Film Federation of India. And we were talked about maximum in business newspapers like Economic Times, Business Economics. So if you see, it was about the film as well as the way it was made, and all this was not paid for. Okay, so and eventually this is very magical. I like this picture because the audience in Switzerland, the Canada audience, they wrote to me and they said that I know the film is available online, I know that the film is there on torrents and here, but can you send us the hard disk? We want to put it up in the theater, we want the whole community to watch this film together. So they paid for everything. They paid, I just had to send them the hard disk. They paid for everything, in fact bought tickets for their own show, and they sent me money as well. So, and the community did it on its own completely. And after this, now the hard disk is traveling in Australia, in US. The hard disk is just floating around where people are doing their own shows, and they just keep wiring us the money after it. So it's something that you can't even imagine, right? A producer always had to do it on his own. And the audience did this kind of branding. So I mean, this was a shocker because I didn't even know that these were so effective, because for all the marketings that I spent, these are the things that went viral and made people come back to the theater. And we have a 8.8 rating on IMDb, probably one of the first Kannada films to be on IMDb with a rating. And this list is very interesting. We are like on 3 and Wolf of Wall Street is on 4. So and eventually we made 6 crores. Okay, so from a 50 lakh film, the gross revenue was 6 crores in 15 weeks, theatrical, satellite, everything put together. Fox Studios bought the Hindi remake rights, which is getting made in Hindi, and Telugu and Tamil. The shooting started about a week ago. Siddharth is acting in it, so I guess in 6 months it will be out in Telugu and Tamil as well. This is the most interesting thing. Okay, so there's this website called Variety. It's a very big brand, right? So the online publication. So when Fox bought our film, they wrote an article, and then on the same day there were other articles as well. So this is like part of fan following and how a community can just raise spirits. For example, if you see if you look at this picture, it's a big Hollywood film, and it has 13 Facebook shares, and the Final Destination has 975, and Lucia had 4.4 thousand, 4,400 people sharing just this article on Facebook. And apparently the guy who wrote got call from the US branch in Variety saying, why are people sharing this article? What is this? Why are they doing it? So this was the highest shared. Up to the first one was apparently Krish, and second highest on Variety portal has been about Lucia. So who watched Lucia eventually? I'm sharing the statistics because I think this is where it started off with producers saying why we don't want to produce Lucia, correct? So I was also testing waters while making this film. So usually any film, when it's released the first week, so the graph of a single screen is always higher than the multiplex, at least within the Kannada region. And what happens during the second week is that the screen continues to be a little strong, and the multiplex drops halfway, and then it goes on lower, and within the fourth week it's out of multiplexes. In ours, it really happened the opposite. When the single screen came to half, and the multiplex really went down steadily, and this is just 6 days graph. And so the myth that there is no audience for an urban, intelligent, multiplex Kannada film was kind of changed after that. So what was the revenue sharing? We had 67% of the money coming in only from multiplexes and the 33 from single screens. And this is the most interesting, maybe some of you who want to write films or something. Usually a producer will tell you that, think of the guy who's in the town, think of the guy who's drunk and who's going to be watching the film. So when you're writing the story. So that is what eventually gets you a producer. So effectively they're saying that the city audience are not the ones you should depend on to calculate the revenues. But ours, it so happened that 76% was from just Bangalore alone. The rest came in from outside. So the alternate distribution plan, wherein distributors were supposed to do online distribution of the film. This is how our website looks like. Now you must be wondering, what did Praveen do? What did Praveen get in return for giving me 2,500, right? He made 50% online distribution share. So we released the film online on luciathefilm.com. It's available. So some of you have not seen it can go see it there today. It's available in India as well. So we would get money in this format. If you look at it, people from all these countries have actually paid money to watch the film. And the affiliate share is nothing but distribution share. So out of 1,048 Australian dollars, we have given away $371 to those people who became online distributors. And then the rest came into me. And this is how transparent things are when we are doing it online with internet. You know, everything is just right there, which anybody can see. So the market for online release, everybody who was demanding it outside, they got the film. And this is interesting. A guy called Sharath who bought 2,500 rupees. He gave us 2,500, bought the 50% distribution share. In, I think this is 30 days. In 30 days, he had made 1.42 lakh just using that link. And as of today, he's crossed 3.25 lakhs. You know, he's made 1,200 people pay for the film and watch it. So now look at it in a long-term basis. You know, these 1,200 people would have otherwise downloaded it from the torrents. Because it was available legally online, they actually paid $5, $10. They understood what it is to pay and watch a film. So it's a small change, but in the long run, it's a huge thing. You can always just depend on online release. You don't even have to think about theatrical if this is what people can do. So insights, I think there's like one or two last slides, is that high budgets alone don't make good cinema. Good content is recognized by the audience. Online marketing has effects on the real world. You know, it's usually, it's not believed. People think online people don't come into the theaters. Subtitling, we subtitled our film. So I'm sure many of you were able to see the film because it was subtitled. So every village in town, it was playing, English subtitles were there. And I believe about 15% of our new revenue came in because of subtitling. Films targeted at the educated urban audience was profitable. Online release for a broad audience meant more profit than releasing it in the theaters for Kannada. Talent and resources are far more, local talent is far more effective than having them outsourced. And audience is hungry for good content, so please provide, they'll make it profitable. So that's Kannada industry battling all other languages within Karnataka. Okay, so that's how much. So eventually I think this is what the whole Kannada film industry or the young filmmakers took away from the film. And this is my last slide. And thank you so much for giving me an hour.
Thank you, sir, for such an insightful talk. An alumni of IIT Madras from 2005 batch, cinematographer of film Lucia, may now call upon Siddharth Nuni to please come on the stage and address his speech.
Hey there, people. It's such a crazy moment for me to just stand here. I'll just take a moment. Okay, I'm really here. Okay, so I've been here. I studied here at IIT. I passed away in 2005. I was in JAM. Anybody from JAM? Hey. So are you all Kannadiga or what? The JAM people, Jamanites? No, okay. So I studied my electrical engineering here, and I passed out in 2005, and I did finish my college. I'm not a dropout. And a little bit about I was supposed to actually give a small presentation here as well, but somehow it didn't work out because I was actually not supposed to be in town, and it just happened that I was in town, so I made it. Probably some other day I'll probably come and tell you the technical side of Lucia, how it was shot. It was a very small budget film. You know that it was shot in 50 lakhs, but the actual production cost is 30 lakhs, which is like really small compared to the other small films, which if you're comparing the budgets of a normal Telugu or Tamil feature film, the minimum a small budget film is considered 3 crores. So that's like we shot it at like 10% of the budget of a small budget film, and still made it look like so good. And we shot, how many of you know that we shot the film on a DSLR? How many of you know what a DSLR is? Okay, see, I'm sure most of you have the camera with you. So the cost of the camera itself will probably come down to 5 lakhs, including the expensive lenses that we shot the film with. But a regular film camera is worth about 1 crore, including the lenses, and there'll be some 10 people coming along with it. So yeah, about my story, well, I graduated in 2005, and then like every other boy and girl like you, started worked for a couple of years in a finance firm because at that point I wanted to do my MBA at IIM. But after a couple of years, I just realized, man, I don't fit into this thing. I mean, it's my personal choice. And then I was like, on Feb 14th in 2006, I quit. So it's like 8 years. It's crazy. I just quit on a whim. And when I was in IIT, I was into the cultural scene. I was into theater. I used to act. And in the final year college, we won the first place in dramatics here on the same stage in Sarang. So yeah, I mean, this theater is like really close to me because I performed here. I sat there looking at people talk, and I think it's very personal for me. Anyway, so after that, I was trying to figure out what to do in life. I did a lot of things. I think for me, I like experiencing things and then figuring out what I really want to do. And so after I quit my job, I was like, okay, let me start a theater group. So I started a theater group and I did a couple of productions, and then I realized, man, this is not for me as well. Then one of the actors and I performed at National School of Drama, and I performed at Rangi Shankara, Bangalore. And after that, I realized, okay, what do I do next? What excites me next? Then I realized, okay, maybe films are something that I might want to really look at. And so one of the actors in my production company, the lady who played my mother, was the film production executive at Ogilvy and Mather. How many of you know what Ogilvy is? It's one of the world's biggest advertising company. And she was the film production executive of the branch in Chennai. So I went up to her and said, listen, I don't know anything about film, but I would like to learn what it is, how it works. I just want to learn. So she said, okay, right now we don't have anybody, so we don't have a placement for you. So I was like, I went back dejected, and a couple of months later, she just called me and said, listen, there's somebody who quit. Why don't you just come join? So I worked there for about a year, and then I kind of learned how films work, and then I realized maybe cinematography is something that I might like. So I went to film school. I learned cinematography under Mr. Rajiv Menon. How many of you know who Mr. Rajiv Menon is? Okay, he runs a film school in Chennai. So I went for it. I learned cinematography, and I thought I will be the next big thing in having that IIT in overconfidence rather. I thought I'll be the next big cinematographer in India and all that. But that wasn't the case. And I had to work it out. I had to slog it out for about 4 or 5 years. And finally, when I was going to quit, I got this offer to work on the VFX crew of Life of Pi. How many of you know what Life of Pi is? Okay, cool. So we won the Oscars for that film, and thank you. So, and then after that, Lucia happened. I met Pawan Kumar because I was working as a assistant on one of the films that he was associate director. He worked as associate director, and I met him, and I was one of the first crazy guys who joined the motley crew of people who worked on Lucia, and yeah, rest is all history. Thank you. I hope, I just have one thing to say, just follow your dreams, whatever it is, just follow your heart, that's it. You will do well in life. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I was just informed that OIT will be screening the film Lucia for free. All thanks to Mr. Pawan Kumar, sir. We'll have a question answer session now. So if you have any questions.
Hello, sir. Thank you for coming here. I wanted to know what your opinion on torrenting is. How badly or how well has it affected you?
How well? Badly affected. See, I mean, I'd be lying if I say I haven't seen films on torrents. Everybody does it. Now, the thing is, the films that you guys or anybody or even us torrented were the films which were really good, right? Which very rarely would we go and torrent the most popular film. We would be torrenting the very good film. And all over the world, everyone who's trying to make good art is actually suffering trying to make it. So we are stealing from the poor, and for the rich, we really go in paying and watching it in the theaters. So I would say that, look, so maybe you're not aware of the film releasing it in your theater. Many times people said, okay, I'm living in Chennai or I'm living in Hyderabad. It's not released here. So how else do I see it? So there's no option because we are still catching up on technology. If I say it's available online, he says, it doesn't stream so easily. Our broadband speeds are not effective. So in few years, it will change. So yeah, you watch the film on torrent, and if there is a way wherein you can just somehow pay it back, not necessarily through money, in any other way, you can kind of tell the filmmaker or the producer who's producing the film that, for what I did was I saw Fight Club when I was 20, and I saw it, of course, on a torrented copy, which a friend gave it to me on a pen drive or CD at that time. And 4 years later, I was working and I was earning about $9,000. So on the end of the month, say on 26th, so when you're absolutely out of money, right? So when you're earning on a monthly thing, so I just had about 1,500 in my account. So I was walking around Crosswords and I saw the original Fight Club DVD and it was priced $900. So I have it in my house in a CD. I got a torrented copy of the Fight Club, but it changed my life. That movie made me look at life in a different perspective. So what I did was, though my account had $1,500, I actually paid $900 and bought the Fight Club DVD. Though, I mean, it's a Fox film. Maybe because I did that, I'm doing a Fox star film today, but so it was just for me, my conscious saying that filmmaker has done that and that's my way of giving it back. And I bought the DVD. So I think that's what you can do eventually. And I think that's catching up. Right now we will be, like if you see Ship of Theseus have put it up online and they're allowing you to watch it for free and you can give them any amount of money that you'd like. So that's one of the ways.
Questions? Hi,
Hi.
I'm Deepak. I just met you today.
Yeah. Tell me, yeah.
I had this feeling actually, if a movie is good, it would really get a critical response as well as a commercial hit. So was it that much tough in the Kannada industry to get someone to produce a movie? Well, because when you see most of Hollywood movies, it would be a psychological thriller as well. Even Lucia, I feel it's a psychological thriller than the emotional contents. So even when I was watching, I felt I'm watching something kind of Inception there. So even that goes through the stage, something like all that stuff. So even it ends in little of an emotional stage. So was it that much tough to get one producer?
See, getting the producer, as I explained, is to do with the numbers that you can reflect. Any film, like even my next film, I know that I just put up a Facebook status yesterday. I don't know how many of you follow me. I said that, okay, my next script on the paper looks like it's a 5 crore budget film, right? And I want to cast an actor, not a star. And I know that film, no matter what, will not, I know the numbers of Lucia. And Lucia, okay, this is a very interesting thing. Now that I've bragged so much about Lucia, let me give you right figures of what, Lucia in its own space made money, right? It was a commercial hit. But did it make more money than any film in 2013? Nope. Compared to films of that genre, independent film, like there is a film called Jatta. I don't know how many of you saw it or heard. So our first week collection was 55 lakh. Theirs was 5 lakh, right? And first week, which I'm saying is 7 days of the week. There's a star film whose first day collection was 55 lakh. Right, so whatever money we earned in 100 days, the star film could earn it in 1 week. So that's what, as a producer, if you had money, you had 5 crores, you would look at this, because even if you want to throw away 5 crores, you will at least want that 5 crores back. Forget the profit, you want the 5 crores back. And I can tell you the market can't promise, even with Lucia, as I said. And as I promised you, like one producer saw the film and valued it at 5 crores. If you had really spent 5 crores, it would have been a biggest flop of the year. It wouldn't have earned the money at all. Because we spent so little and did it for so long, can we now show some profits? So there's no way a film like Lucia, even today, can get one producer to put in his money.
Yeah. Hi, I wanted to ask, you have it's crowdfunded, so they'll all obviously be what do you say, anxious of what the story might be to put in their money. But once they know the story, how do you? I mean, is it a challenge for you
Yeah, it is.
to?
I get your. I didn't put up the story. I said the film is called Lucia, and that's all I'm going to tell. You know, there's not even one line. I won't even say it's a psychological thriller because I didn't say it 2 years ago. So what helped in my case was that I had a track record of 3 other films. So people knew what kind of films that this guy do. So they had a fair idea about it. And if you look at it, as I said, 30,000 people got onto the website, 800 emails were answered, and only 110 funded it, which meant that the rest had doubts as to why is this guy not telling the script, why. So I did get queries, but I was very stubborn. I said I won't give it out because the whole film is the whole psychology thriller part of it. Even if I give it to you, you might just share it off. You know, you can share it on Facebook and it's gone. So it was. I mean, when you crowdfund, having your work, I mean, for them to see. As a first film, it's very difficult, but if you have some work to show, even as a first feature film, it's possible if you are really good with your short films. You know, if you have written some stuff which people are following and reading, then I'm sure it won't be difficult to even crowdfund your first feature film.
How did the already established stars and their groups react to this? I'm not from Karnataka, but in Kerala there are allegations like the big stars, like maybe one or two, they have their own big fan associations and they have their relationship with the technicians and they ban some actors who they don't like smaller ones. So how did it work in your case?
I'm alive, so. I think, see, what happened with Lucia was that when I announced it, the industry thought, okay, I mean, nobody is going to see it anyway. And I mean, first of all, they had doubts about it even getting completed. So even till the last day, even like 1 week after the release, they were shocked that this film is making so much noise. And as I said, our first week collection was 55 lakh. For a big star, that's nothing to be worried about because he in 1 week can generate up to 6 crores, right? So his market, his audience are still happily, they're feeding each other. And I was only trying to find a completely new audience who had not seen any other Kannada film and they came to my film. So we were only working on that space. So we were nowhere a threat to them. And I was like this little ant just walking around and collecting food. That's it.
Hello, my name is Vinay and I'm a grad student in Portland, Oregon, US. That's where I saw the movie. Actually, one of my friends who is Jamaican is a movie buff. He downloaded your movie on torrent and then we watched it all. We liked it as well. But as a grad student, we would want to. Sorry, what is that?
My account number.
Yeah. As a grad student, I'm still deaf to account numbers, so don't worry about it. But it is an amazing movie. But as movie enthusiasts, right? Even we talk about making movies, and I saw how intelligently you had done it all. But it takes quite a lot of time, right? I guess there were times when you gave up as well. Maybe I don't know. And things like that would have happened, or detractors. Did you do something specifically that kept you going? And then do you plan to go through all of this, what a lot of people called crap, to make your next movie again?
Okay. One thing that kept me going is because I had borrowed money from 110 people. Okay, so if I didn't finish the project, 110 people would be filing a case against me. So that really motivated me to finish this film. And of course, there were times when, like, I mean, Siddharth and all, it's like when, as I said, 3 days from now, I'll email you the DVD of the making of the film. If you look through it, there were really difficult times when we were making this film. But in a film, what happens is, especially when you have money that you are responsible for, you had to finish the project. So that's what kept. I was not at any point thinking that this is going to be a great film. It just had to be from the script. It had to become a film. That's all I was thinking. And all the positive things that I told you about, that it became the first Kannada film to be having a premiere in London, blah, blah, blah. We didn't work towards it. So that's an interesting thing that I learned about life, which is that don't work towards those brownie points. Just make good stuff, and those things come in your way. Like, did I even imagine that I want to be on IMDb with a 8.8 rating? Nope. But when you say that I want to make a film which will be a hit on IMDb, you will never end up doing it. So our only motive was to, hey, we had a great story. We had somehow, I wouldn't even say we are smart to write that story. We just chanced upon writing that story. So we said that we have to now make this into a film. Now, so as I said, we stuck to 50 lakh. We finished the film in 50 lakh, and everything else happened with the positive energy. That's it.
So do you plan to continue making movies?
Continue, yeah. So one good thing about crowdfunding is that it gives you a complete freedom to do the kind of work that you want to do. So though I had a pressure, I was suffering it mostly alone. I didn't put it on anybody else in the team, which is that I have to return the 50. So even if I return 49 lakh, those 110 people will say, you know what, I put in 25,000, I lost $1,000, which will kill crowdfunding forever, right? So somehow I was trying to make sure that my film earns at least 50 lakh back. So other than that single pressure, I had nothing else. I could play with the money the way I wanted. And that's the beauty of crowdfunding. And only for that reason alone, I will make a few more attempts with the same thing. Yeah. And more than anything, I want the community to be responsible as well. As I said, the crowdfunding brought out a new side wherein if so many of you want a film like Lucia, then you have to make sure that you pay and watch for it, because that's the only way we can make that film, right? So I'm very openly telling the community online that if I want to make Lucia too, then you promise me that you will pay and watch. And how I do that is again my very marketing ways of doing it. I think the mic is gone there.
Hello, my name is Nicholas. Today on Valentine's Day, I want to ask, what is important of love in your life?
What? Sorry, I didn't get it. What?
Hello, yeah.
What is the importance of?
Love in your life. Okay. Importance of love in your life.
Which one do you want to talk about?
About girlfriend.
Which one? So I don't know what I can tell about Angelina Jolie though. So
no, your real one. Real one.
Okay, out of the 4 real ones, I got married to the 5th one. So there's nothing. I'm 31 and I'm bored of it. So thank you.
Hello. How you thought that there is one tablet for us to get in dream?
Actually, it's available apparently. When I wrote the script, I thought it was fiction. But when I was doing my research, if you go and say Google search lucid dreaming pills, I'm sorry if there are teachers, I'm not promoting this. It might be dangerous, but it's available online and it's banned drug. So maybe banned drug, yeah.
Hello, sir. Have you really scripted the movie to make the audience to watch it twice? Because once if you watch it, we cannot understand properly.
No, I learned from Lucia that now I can write a script that way. At least, so now we are attempting 4 times. So in Lucia too, you'll have to say 4 times to understand. No, when we wrote, see if you because you've seen it, the story itself tells you that it has to be narrated that way. It has to be a puzzle. It has to have those doubts because it's reality dream. The character is going through the confusion. So as audience, I wanted you all to experience the same. So it was the story which took us to that point. And as a filmmaker, our attempt is to, answer the whole thing, but you look for those answers. It's all there.
And also, we Kannadigas from here, we're truly honored by the Lucia movie so that we can tell other language friends that, yeah, we have got some movies so that come and watch it together.
Thank you so much.
And also, you don't believe that when we screened that movie in OIT, the OIT was full. It was not the usual case when we played in Kannada movie, other Kannada movies.
Okay.
And one more thing, what do you see like in contemporary world in Kannada industries? We have some directors, we only go along after the like some kind of audiences. So what exactly made changes in the Kannada industry as far as Lucia is concerned?
I think it, like what you just said, from the audience point of view, it gave a lot of audience that, hey, you know what, there's a talent group which can create films like this. From within the industry, I've met a lot of youngsters, and now a lot of them are attempting stories like this. You know, their fear was that nobody will watch stories like this. At least Lucia said, no, there is 15-20% of the audience who will watch and talk about it. And I think somewhere it just made everyone feel very positive about their work. So I think 2014 will be seeing more people attempting these kind of things.
And also, are you looking to reach all the audiences, because only not the educated one to...
See, I don't believe in educated, and it's innocent audience and, you know, the corrupt audience. So basically we are all corrupt audience, because we have seen all sorts of films. We dig into the film, we say, oh, I know where he's flicked this from, right? So the innocent audience, who is the one who says, you know what, I've just worked so hard the whole day, I've come here just tell a story. Now, the innocent audience over the last 100 years of Indian cinema has been told a different kind of film constantly. So he or she thinks that is the film. So when you tell that there is non-linearity, there is something that you have to think and connect the dots to understand the story, they think, what stupid film is this, right? So I would say that they have to watch, at least for the next 2-3 years, films like Lucia or many other films repeatedly, develop a taste for it, and then eventually they will come to this side of the corrupt audience.
And also, like, the improving the Kannada industry movies. If anyone is there for question? Now, I have, like, in Kannada industry, like in Karnataka, like if you go to the Mangalore region and all, the people don't really see the Kannada movies, because maybe I don't blame them, because the kind of movies what we had in 90s and 2000 might have been the reason. Like, are you looking into bringing the Kannada peoples to the theater? Because that's
we are constantly attempting. Not only me, there is another film called Ulidavaru Kandante, which is coming in a few days, which is very centered around Mangalore region. Very, from the trailers and songs, it seems like it's another path-breaking film. So that's the answer for your last question. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I think the guy here.
Do you ever thought of approaching some Bollywood production houses like Phantom Productions, Anurag Kashyap's production, to fund such films, because they do different films, right? The girl.
So everybody in their own spaces is going through the same thing. Like even Anurag Kashyap in his Bollywood space is going through the same thing. We in a smaller town are going through the same thing. And I met somebody from Los Angeles in Hollywood, he is going through the same thing. You know, so in the bigger markets, the problem is big. So in Hindi today, a film like Lucia, like the one of the studios said that if you had brought the script, we wouldn't have taken it. But as a film, now we feel like buying it. You know, so as a script level, a studio with all the money still has doubts that if this will work or not work.
Also, which filmmaker from India do you follow?
I like Anurag Kashyap a lot. Yeah, I've seen his work. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Hello. Namaskar, sir.
Namaskar.
Sir, just before coming here, I read your blog, Making Enemies. In that you touched the sensitive topic of remakes, and recently a war broke out between remakes and dubbing. What is your stand on this?
I feel films have to be dubbed. I've been outcast from the industry for supporting dubbing because I'm one of the very few people within the industry who's supporting it.
Yes, sir. But one argument in favor of remakes is that there's one dialogue in Edelu Manjunatha. He says, "Dadru someka madvardu, buddhivantru remake madvardu." So don't you think that remake should be supported?
See, dubbed and remake is different. I hope you know. Yeah. So dubbed is a Tamil film getting dubbed in Kannada. Remake is a Tamil film completely remade in Kannada.
Yeah, because of this remake trend, the smart ones are getting, they're not getting opportunities. So, I mean, someone like you, right?
Yeah, so I would rather say dub the original film, you know, so that way Kannada complete industry is going to strive towards making more original films.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. In the previous, I mean, apart from the Lucia, how much of, say in Pancharangi or Mansare, how much of it is personal to you? I mean, the events that happen, the relationships, the breakups, yeah, life is tene. So, I mean, there are, I think, some 2 breakups, I don't remember exactly, but...
In the movie?
Yeah, in the movie, the story.
Yeah, okay.
So, my question is, how much of it is personal and how much of it is creative?
I underplayed it because there were only 4 breakups. So if I made personal, it had to be done in a trilogy. So,
hello, sir. You said the culture is the movies are influenced. Culture represents the movies represent the culture of a locality or the region, and likewise, I feel even the culture is affected by movies as well. So it's like kind of a cyclic relationship. In this regard, then do you think you share any responsibility in this regard?
see, I mean, like all of us share responsibility in our own work, I feel. Even if you're a software engineer or anything, we have certain outlook towards how we appear with our work to the world, especially in our scenario, because a film is right there for somebody to watch, directly. I feel yes, we do have a very moral responsibility on how we come across, and that is your conscience. I might completely disagree with, let's say, what Anurag Kashyap, I'm just using it as an example, just in one of his scenes. I might completely disagree, but he feels completely convinced about it. So it's good for him to come out, and I think the audience will accordingly choose. If they choose him, then it's a shared moral responsibility and a conscience saying that, hey, you know what, I really like what he did. And I might still consider, hey, it's still bad. And I might grow up after some point. So, but I, in my work, try to have that whatever I believe in or whatever I look at the world or whatever I feel like saying, I try to bring it in my work.
Sir, throughout the process of Lucia, like you might have thought somewhere like it's not going to work. There is a lot of responsibility. These people not understand that, this and all. At that point of time, what would be your stand, sir? Like taking it ahead.
I think as I said, we just wanted to finish it. I have gone through it because 14 months of making film is a very long process to be confident all the time. So there were extremely low phases. But the only thing that kept us moving was that, you were at the editing table once we edited the film, everybody felt that nobody is going to watch this film. We were convinced that this is a flop. So, but we have to release it because, we have to see what might come out of it. So it's just that.
We'll take one last question here. Thank you. I was surprised to hear from you that you went to Bombay with a script, and I thought most Hindi movies don't have scripts.
No, actually, whatever you say as not scripted actually gets scripted. Now that's more shocking, right? So like you can actually write those things, and they do write these things. Yeah. Great. Thank you so much, and have fun. What we are going to do is I'll need a favor from the Kannada groups here, which is that this is the original Blu-ray, first Kannada film with a Blu-ray, by the way. So we're going to leave it with you. And hopefully how I heard some of the trends which follow from one batch to the other when we were sitting in the other room, you guys will pass it on and make sure that whoever wants to watch it in the campus can play it and watch it as long as they want. It's a full HD resolution, and I'll send you an email I'll send you a copy of the making of the film so you can bundle it with that and leave it in the library somewhere where people can watch it. So that's a great way, I think, to take the film forward, right? So, thank you.
Thank you, sir. On behalf of Extramural Lectures team and Kannada Samskritika Sangha IIT Madras, I request Dean Professor Alice Ganesh to present Siddharth Muni with a memento. May I now request Professor Devendra Jalihal to present Mr. Pawan Kumar with the token of appreciation.
We had this movie in OIT in the first week of November. 1st of November happens to be Kannada Rajyotsava, and so as part of that, we had this movie, and I'm truly proud. Okay, because I had stopped watching Kannada movies since 1970s. Bangar the Manusha and so on. After that, movies had gone completely. It's become trash, and so I stopped watching. For the first time, I really felt proud. Okay, so on behalf of the IIT Kannada Cultural Association, I would like to honor you, sir.
Thank you, sir. May I now request Dean Professor S. Ganesh to present Mr. Pawan Kumar with a memento.
There's a question that our students didn't ask you. What's your equation with your family right now?
So eventually my mom will be in tears if she sees IIT on this. So I can tell her that this was the game plan, all the while. Who wants a degree from VTU in Karnataka? I wanted this, dude. So that's my equation at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for being such a nice audience. Thank you.